Hey there guys, and welcome back to Alex Invests, and today is going to be a very interesting day on the stock market. I have a few things to talk about. We're about 3 minutes away from opening bell here, and first of all, Plug earnings came out, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to go over their investor letter that they put out and sort of what we're seeing there. I also want to talk to you guys about AMC and GME, of course, because they're both on their second run here to the moon. So we're going to see what happens there, but mostly I'm invested in AMC, so we're going to talk about AMC there, some of the call options, some of the put options there, and what we see. And then I also want to talk to you guys about PSLV, right? And essentially my friend on Twitter, he has started a Twitter page, and it's about investing and what he's doing sort of on the market, right? So go check him out on Twitter. You can go check me out on Twitter as well, in case you guys didn't know I had a Twitter. But he basically asked me yesterday on Twitter to do this PSLV challenge, which is essentially every time I get a new subscriber, and we'll do every time I get a new subscriber on YouTube, to buy one share of PSLV, which is currently trading at about $10 a share. So should I do this? Let me know in the comments. I will have to transfer some more funds over, obviously, because I don't want to be pulling out any of my stocks for that. But let me know, and go follow both of us on Twitter as well. And his name on Twitter is @HappyVesting. I will link it in the description too. Also check out the other links in the description as well. ShakePay, if you want free crypto. Every day you just shake your phone, you get free crypto. I've talked about it on the channel before, but anyways, check that out. You don't have to do anything except for use someone's referral link. So really good stuff there. Anyways, we're going to start off here with AMC, right? Because and we're about to hit open here, but we had the 18% yesterday before market open, and then now in pre-market we're already up 20% here. Some of this again was from yesterday post-market as well. So really interesting, and we may see AMC actually go to the moon here, for the second time, but this time we might actually see us go to the moon. But of course, this depends on quite a few things, right? And the first one, which is why I think we might see us go to the moon, is this right here. It's some of the options contracts which are expiring 2 days from now, right? We can see 2 days till expiration on the 26th, and I guess that's tomorrow now. So this is 1 day behind here because market's not open yet, right? But look at the volume on some of these options, right? Here we're looking at the volume. And we'll just go up down here. So we can see $8 calls, $9 calls, and $10 calls, even $7 calls here, and $11 calls. We see all this volume. Look, 148,000 volume on the $8 calls, guys, which is absolutely insane. So we might actually see that gamma squeeze that we've been waiting for a few months now, right? I'm invested in AMC. I did sell a few shares the other week because obviously I didn't see this coming, and not many people did. And of course, we still may not see it. But I remain optimistic, and we could go somewhere from here. So we'll see about all these call options expiring, and look at that compared to the put options, right? If again we sort here by volume, we can see the most volume are the $7 puts at only 32,700 volume. So way more call options expiring here, and if we have these $10 calls as well in the money, and maybe even get to these $11 calls in the money, that's going to be really, really big for this gamma squeeze that people are expecting. However, there's some issues with this, right? Because if the brokers again, and all these brokerages, decide to halt trading or stop buying, letting people buy on these stocks again, then we'll likely see the same thing we saw last time, which is no gamma squeeze, and the price starts coming down again because people can't buy these shares. And, you know, Vlad, for example, that's the CEO of Robinhood, right, said they got this $2 billion cash infusion or whatever the amount was, right? So they basically could keep people trading and buying these shares, and they wouldn't run into any liquidity issues or any other issues, whatever the issues were. They wouldn't run into them with this extra $2 billion. So it's going to be interesting to see if he goes back on his word and halts trading anyways, or stops buying anyways on these shares again. Because if he does, then it's obvious that he was lying the whole time. I'm expecting Interactive Brokers to halt trading because they don't really care. It seems like the CEO, for example, does not care at all. And he's like, yeah, no, I will stop buying on AMC and GME and all these other stocks because I don't want to see this. I don't want to see me lose money, right? And I think we're going to see Webull hopefully keep their trading open. Robinhood, again, you know, after all the heat they got and after all the heat Vlad got, it should stay open as well. But again, we don't know, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens here throughout the day. We'll just go back here to Webull for a second because we can see already we're having a huge dip down here right at the beginning of market open here, and maybe we'll pull back. We'll see what happens here, guys. I don't have too many shares in this, and I'm not really worried about it, but I'm definitely going to be watching it. I have enough to have a vested interest here for sure. So that's basically the first thing here. Going to be, again, very interesting to see what happens here with all these brokerages. Are they going to halt trading? Are they not going to halt trading, right? And yeah, I'm excited for today, guys. I'm excited for today. So next thing is, and this is the last thing, is that Plug Power reported earnings, right? Q4 and year-end earnings. So we're going to go through that, but I want to show you guys the chart before we do that here. Plug Power right here, right? And it's nice to see, again, this recovery when market opens, but we had kind of mixed results, and some of their revenues, right, and their earnings weren't great, and we're going to go through exactly why that is. But we can see because of that we came down all the way. We were 9% down in pre-market this morning, and we're already having a nice recovery here. So we'll see that. But I want to go over with you guys this right here, which is their investor letter, right? And we're just going to start at the top, which is Plug Power reports $337 million in gross billings for 2020, right? That's the year, up 42.5% year over year. So that's starting off pretty good, right? This is, again, record gross billings for them here. Record year for gross billings. We can see that right here, right, for 2020. And again, for Q4, we had 96 million. So very good stuff there. But you know, and this is where it gets interesting. This is why we had mixed results here, because of their reported revenue that was negatively impacted by certain costs of $456 million recorded in the fourth quarter here. And this is kind of the problem, right? The majority being non-cash charges related to the accelerated vesting of a customer's remaining warrants. So when we go to the revenues here, we're going to see negative revenues, and it's because of these non-cash charges, right? Which again means that the products that they sold to this specific customer here were reported negatively to kind of make up, again, this $456 million kind of here. So we can see right here, this resulted in reported revenue of negative $316 million for the quarter and negative $100 million for the full year. What's nice, again, is continued investment during 2021 to deliver substantial growth. And of course, we know we're going to see substantial growth, and with the Akiona deal they have now for Europe, and of course the SK Group deal, right, for South Korea there. So good things happening in Plug Power, guys. And we can see, you know, that's why we didn't come down too much from this. Again, this non-cash charges stuff, right? And what we're going to see later is it affects revenue, yes, and it affects earnings, but it does not affect cash flow. So that's at least somewhat okay there, right? And again, the other thing to mention, right, is this 96 million of sort of gross billings or revenue in Q4 beat expectations, which was about 88 million. That was the expectation, right? So they beat their expectations there. But again, EPS, which isn't here yet, we'll go through the EPS when we get there then, right? So we'll just mention that for now. And so yeah, record gross billings, blah blah blah. None of this really matters. Yeah, no, none of this really matters. So let's move on here. So their targets here, right, for green hydrogen generation, again, they increase those to 500 tons per day by 2025 and 1,000 tons a day before 2028, not at 2028, before 2028, right? So from 2025 to 2028, they're looking to double this, which is really, really good, right? And yes, I'm still bullish on Plug. I won't be selling really any of my shares in Plug. If anything, if we come down a lot, I'll be buying some more shares in Plug, right? So good things there. Again, here we have the Acciona deal, right? And I say Europe, but you know it's really Spain, Portugal, but you know they will eventually be expanding into the rest of Europe too here, right? So good things there. 6+ gigawatts, right? We've talked about all this when we talked about the Acciona deal as well. So 1.5 billion euros again, and this is in euros, which is also very important, right? In EU recovery grants and all of this. Net zero CO2 goal for EU by 2050 as well. Something we've talked about. And this, you know, it goes for Plug, but it also goes for, you know, Tesla, which, you know, is another big holding of mine here. And quite a few, you know, other things, you know, other EV companies, other hydrogen companies. You know, we always talk about F-Cell on this channel too, right? So good things there, right? And, you know, here's some of the things that they accomplished during 2020. Again, we've talked about Plug throughout during 2020. So I'm not going to go over this in any detail because I do have quite a few Plug Power videos. You can go check those out. You can go check out this investor letter too, right? Really easy to find. Just go on their website and type in on Google Plug Power investor letter, and it will come up, and you guys can just go through this yourselves too, right? I mean, yeah, you guys have to do your own research too, right? These 10, 15, 20-minute videos I do are not going to be enough, you know, to truly understand what you're investing in here, right? But I will mention quickly, you know, of course, Walmart, you know, they're expanding with Walmart, and it's something we've talked about as well before, but bringing its GenDrive deployed base to more than 9,500 total units for Walmart. So really good things there. And that's just Walmart, right? They've got plenty of other partners here for their GenKey. Again, that's their sort of material handling space right here. So good things there. Again, we've talked about the Lin deal. We've talked about the Gaussian deal, all this, right? You can go check out these videos on my YouTube channel. Just type in probably Alex Invests Plug Power. I'm sure they'll all come up, but yeah, so good things though still here. You know, Renault, we know about this deal as well. Good things happening there. 500,000 vehicles by 2030 is very good again, and fuel cell powered vehicles and that's good stuff, right? The Renault deal is good stuff. The SK Group deal, this is probably their biggest deal. I did a pretty in-depth video on sort of where they want to go with this SK Group deal too, so you guys can go check that out as well. The fuel cell and electrolyzer gigafactory, also something we've talked about. Yes, very, very nice to see this coming through as well, right? Plug Power, they're in a big expansion mode right now, and you know, like I said, like we just saw earlier, by 2028, over 1,000 tons of hydrogen generation per day by 2028, right? Or before 2028. So that's great there, right? Growing activity in Europe and Asia, yes, beautiful. We know all this. And here, this is where I really want to get to you guys next, right? Is their financials recap. And yes, we've talked about their revenue in the fourth quarter. We've talked about their full year revenue. Again, that they've beat expectations here is great. 2,200 fuel cell units in the fourth quarter of 2020 and 9,800 for the full year. That's pretty good there as well. I believe that is also their best quarter and their best year to date. So, and I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure on that. But this, again, this is where I really want to get to you guys here with, right? Reported GAAP numbers were negatively impacted by costs of 456 million, right? We kind of just talked about this, but I want to go over it again because we're about to get to their actual financial statements, and you're going to see why this is so important here, right? Primarily related to non-cash charges, again, for certain customer warrants. So again, non-cash charges means that the products that they've sold or some of the revenues that they would have gotten, they didn't get because they were not, they're non-cash charges, right? And there was no cash or less cash paid for these, right? And again, it's for certain customer warrants. And this could actually be the exact case here. We'll look at this quickly, right? Plug Power updates on Amazon's warrants and vesting here, right? So Plug Power issued a warrant to Amazon Investment Holdings to acquire 55 million shares of its common stock. As of November 2nd, 2020, 34 million shares had vested under the warrants in exercise of $1.18 per share based on total cumulative spending with Plug Power in excess of $200 million, right? In excess of $200 million, here we're dealing with about 456 million, which it could be mostly this deal with Amazon right here causing this. Right here, we can see on December 31st, 2020, Plug Power waived the remaining vesting conditions under the warrant, which resulted in vesting of the remaining 20 million unvested shares under the warrant, right? The vesting is expected to result in a substantial one-time non-cash charge in the quarter ended December 31st, 2020, right? So this is exactly what we're seeing right here, right? And that's why we see this kind of these non-cash charges. I'm guessing this customer right here is Amazon, right? And there could be maybe a second customer here as well, but I'm guessing most of it is that Amazon deal that we just looked at, right? So again, that's kind of what's happening there, right? And here we'll see now on their kind of financials what that means. And we're not gonna look much at their balance sheet, right? They have over $1 billion in cash, and it's all good, you know. Again, accounts receivable is nice too at that sort of 42 million there. Total current assets, again, 1.6 billion. You know, total assets even higher by about $1 billion there. So, you know, really good things there. Total liabilities super low comparatively here, right? 910 million. So that's fantastic to see there, guys. Especially current liabilities are only 236 million. So great things there. There was a little bit of share issuing here, but not much, so we won't cover any more of that. But I did want to cover this with you guys because this right here is that non-cash charge we're seeing right in these revenues, right? We're seeing negative revenues coming in, positive there, and negative, right? So net revenue, again, is a negative number, and that's because of those non-cash charges, because of those customer warrants, right? And like I said, again, I think that's those Amazon customer warrants there. So again, their cost of revenue is still much lower than their revenue, so that's good to see. But again, because, this is that negative number, because of that non-cash charge here, because of those customer warrants, we add these two, right? And we get a negative $422 million. And that's why we get this net loss per share, which is so much higher than what is expected, right? And again, this is the yearly here, a negative 1.58 loss per share. So really high. And their expected loss per share was negative 0.06, right? And again, that's probably likely because the expected didn't take into account these kind of non-cash charges that again we're seeing, right? And that's why we're seeing these negative revenues. So keep that in mind, if you're out there and you're like, oh, Plug Power has a horrible EPS here. They do, but this only reflects again in their earnings, but is not reflected in their cash flows. So don't worry about this too much. Again, like we saw above, one-time payment, right? And after that, we're not going to see this again. And that's exactly what they mentioned as well. We won't see this again. Now this is fully done, paid off, and it's time to move forward here with earnings and hopefully, see actually a positive earnings per share here soon, within the next year here. I suspect we will see a positive earnings per share. And I could be wrong, anything could happen, but I think we might see that at least for the quarter, maybe not for the yearly, but for the quarterly. I think it's definitely achievable within the next year. So keep that in mind. Here's their cash flow statement, right? Net cash in operating activities is actually not too bad, at negative 156 million here, considering, right, this number right here, which again is kind of their yearly, right? And again, a lot of this is coming from their fourth quarter here. But definitely something to keep in mind there, right? So good things there. Again, financing activities is one thing I wanted to mention with you guys, right? Proceeds from public offerings is about 1.2 billion there. So, again, they've got a lot of cash. We saw they have a lot of cash, and we're not going to see anything too bad there. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover with you guys there. Interesting, very interesting things right today. Plug down 6% right now, 5.86% now. I don't see them going too much lower than this. They're already at $46 compared to that. What were we even at here? $60 or whatever, just a few weeks ago here. Yeah, $70 just a few weeks ago here, right? So we have already came down quite a lot. I see really this, 42 level is the bottom. I think we're going to hit on this even with these earnings. I think we still have, I still see these earnings, as positive, even though we had those non-cash charges here. It's a one-time thing again. And for the future, we're still going to see really, really big growth there. So that does not worry me one bit. And that's going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment as always. Yes, it was a little bit longer, but again, we went over, the investor letter there and everything. So a little bit of a deeper dive there for you guys. I know you did like it when I did it for Fuel Cell too. So we'll see what you guys think there. But anyways, have a fantastic day, guys. Enjoy the markets today. Should be interesting. And other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow.